Welcome back, welcome back. Flaming sorbets, snail porridge, and nitro scrambled egg and bacon ice cream. They're just some of the culinary creations of the chef Heston Blumenthal. He's been described as a modern-day Willy Wonka for his experimental cooking. His restaurant, The Fat Duck, has 3 Michelin stars and has just been awarded a perfect 10 by the Good Food Guide. It was also declared the best restaurant in the world in 2005 and number 2 in the other years in between. A great record. He's here with us now. Heston, welcome.
Thank you.
I read that one of the things you've invented is hot ice cream.
Yes.
How did you do that?
Ha ha. It's basically, we make the ice cream or the sorbet mixture with a gelatin type ingredients made from seaweed basically, and it's more heat resistant. So imagine you make a custard and you set it like a jelly, and then you puree it, and then you put that into an ice cream machine. So then we serve this on top of it's actually a barley sorbet on top of an apple compote with some freeze-dried apples. And this is a brand new dish in a bowl, metal bowl, and that metal bowl is put into a porcelain bowl. Underneath the metal bowl is dry ice, and do you remember space dust, popping candy, that little crackle in the mouth, pop rocks stuff? That's underneath, and it's a leather bowl and it's got bits of wood round. So they put this on the table so you can see the leather and see the wood like a fire. Then the front of house staff pour a fragrance you've had made which smells of leather and wood and tobacco. This is all based around whiskey. So they pour that into the bowl under the metal bowl. It hits the dry ice, vapour comes up, carrying the smell with it, and the popping candy goes off and makes the crackle of a fire. So you're hearing the fire, smelling the fire, seeing the fire, and then they pour this whiskey blend that we've made that has a leather character, a tobacco character, and a smoky character over the sorbet and light it. So now you're eating this sorbet while it's on fire with seeing the smoke, smelling the smoke, and we're working with a magician, and we're nearly there. The ultimate final step for this dish is that they pour the liquid, it's all vapour coming out, fantastic. Pour the whiskey over the sorbet, and then the front of house staff will then go, and if there's 4 of you on the table, all 4 sorbets will go boof at the same time. That's the theory.
Well, that's fascinating. I mean, that raises the question, really, I suppose, Heston. In your eyes, is cooking an art or a science?
It's a good question. It's something that I always felt quite uncomfortable answering, because that's kind of saying, I think calling yourself an artist, as you are physically painting, it seems a little bit strange. I'm a cook, I'm a chef. But I would say that if by art, art is all really about creating an emotional response. And I would say if artists can do that with paints and a canvas, then I think chefs can do that with food. But obviously, for me, anyway, it goes far and above just what's on the plate. And if you think you remember your most memorable meals you've ever had, I guarantee a chunk of them will be where food will have been good, but it'll be the setting, the company, the occasion. There'll be other factors that cause that emotional response. It's how I can sort of encapsulate that in the dishes in the restaurant.
Yeah. Well, you've brought along some of your latest inventions there.
Oh, yes.
Just let's get a feel of...
Okay, so this is a sweet shop bag.
Right.
And this is the last thing. We have 15-course tasting menu, 15 to 18 courses. And the last thing you get with your coffee, the petit fours. But they come in this bag. And this was sparked off really. I was doing some work on metaphors, and the metaphor of a kid in a sweet shop is, I kept on using that to describe every time I got excited about coming up with a new idea or something. So it's based on that. So what we've got is this one.
Right.
So this is an apple pie flavoured caramel.
Apple pie flavoured?
Caramel, like a soft caramel. So if you put your hand out.
Thank you very much.
Now it's wrapped in a cellophane wrapper.
Right.
But don't unwrap it. Put the whole thing in your mouth.
Including the wrapper?
the whole thing.
Cheers.
Cheers. This one, it's called the Queen of Hearts. She ate some tarts.
Right.
And it's got like a taste of jam tarts. And that was the sort of the Queen of Hearts of Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, this is absolutely fun. You had one brief setback, didn't you, this year with the 500 people who got...
Yes. Yes.
What was it? The shellfish were...
It was
gathered some sewage along the
Yeah,
way.
well, basically what happened, we had a big outbreak of norovirus in the first few months of this year, which is the winter vomiting bug. So it's basically flu.
Yeah.
We were getting our oysters from basically the oldest oyster beds in the country, and the water had a virus in it basically, which oysters are filters, so that was passed through the oysters, and for whatever reason this wasn't spotted, so we were then serving oysters which contained the virus.
That little disaster is behind you now, and the restaurant is open again. And tell me one thing, just thinking through and listening to what you were saying so interestingly there, when you think around the world, most cooking in most homes is done by the wife or the lady partner, or whatever phrase we use these days. Why are most of the great chefs like yourself all men in that case? Why aren't they all women?
I think there are a lot more female chefs now than there used to be, but the kitchen used to be very male dominated. It was a place where there were long hours. There weren't always the nicest environments to work in. They were hot. People tended to kind of. There weren't too many niceties exchanged in the kitchen. Put it that way. Thankfully that's changed a lot now. Kitchens are much nicer places to work in. And it seems crazy because at the end of the day, most of us cook because we love cooking. So to have a kitchen that's kind of uncomfortable and feels a little bit oppressed goes against the very reason why you cook. So there's definitely more women cooking in professional kitchens now than there used to be.
Well, we'd love you to come back again with your Fat Duck cookbook and so on, and some more of your latest
I would love to.
discoveries.
Yeah, I'll give you some new things to try then.
Yeah, fantastic. Just no garlic for me.
Okay.
Thank you very much indeed. Heston Blumenthal, from the world's most famous chef to the world's most famous atheist, Richard Dawkins joins me after this short break.